So Belshazzar the king made a great feast for 1,000 of his lords, and drank wine in the presence of the 1,000, like the wine of the fornication of the whore of Babylon, which is idolatry. Then he says, while he tasted the wine, Belshazzar gave the command to bring the gold and silver vessels, which his father Nebuchadnezzar had taken from the temple which had been in Jerusalem, that the king and his lords, his wives, and his concubines might drink from them. So this was a huge mistake that he was about to do here. And to give a little bit of context, when the destruction of Jerusalem came through Babylon, Yahweh allowed Nebuchadnezzar to take over it, and he destroyed the temple and took all the vessels that were used for the set-apart service, that were used for the sacrifices and all of that by the Kohanim, or the priests of the temple. He took them all to Babylon. He kept them pretty much like in a treasure. But when this wicked child or descendant of that same king, when he was at this feast, he decided to use the set apart things of Yahweh in his idolatry, which is being represented by drinking wine. So in his feast, while he was feasting with the false Elohim, Baal, the Lord, with all his people, thinking that he would rule forever, he asked for those vessels. So that is huge for, well, what I already explained why, but then in the spiritual sense, there's a bigger reason, or more profound, which is the fact that in Revelation 7 we see that the many who will be killed and then resurrected to be justified during the judgment, those many, as they are called throughout scriptures, they will serve in the temple. They will be like the blood. That's why Yahushua, when he raised the cup, he said, this is the blood of the new covenant, which I am giving for the many. And I'm paraphrasing. So Yahushua was offering his own blood, represented by the wine that he was drinking, for the many, while his flesh, like the matzah that he ate, represents the few, who are the temple. So just like we see also in Revelation 14, when the harvest happens, the wheat are the few and the grapes are the many. So during the harvest, they are both taken, but the wheat are taken to the prepared place of Revelation 12, and the grapes are taken to the basically to die, to the winepress of the wrath of Yahweh. And through that death, they will be purified and justified because of their belief in their hearts. And just in case there are people who are listening for the first time, or eventually, there's a lot of things also that could be said regarding this subject. And if anything, obviously you can make, those who are live, ask your questions regarding it. But I'm just trying to explain how there will be two groups of people. One who will not experience death. They will go in the harvest when they are transformed in the blink of an eye, as Paul said. And then there are the many who are expecting a rapture different than what the scripture says. So it won't happen. So unfortunately, they will have to go through some hardship for not believing in the true doctrine, not believing in the two witnesses that Yahweh sent during the first 3.5 years. So then they will have to die in a matter of 30 days, according to Hosea 5:7. So in 30 days, the many will die for not accepting the mark of the beast. Obviously, those who accept it are not part of anything but those who are going to the lake of fire. So the many, they won't accept the doctrine of the two witnesses, but then they will realize that they were the two witnesses, but it will be too late. So they will have to die, just like the two witnesses, and be resurrected and justified and enter the temple as those who serve within the temple, like the blood serves in the body, like the vessels were used to serve for the sacrifices. So the few are the body, the temple. The many are the blood, the vessels. The bread, the body, the temple, the few. The wine, the many. The grapes. And as we are seeing here, we see that the 1,000 years come, they are drinking wine, like the many are represented by the wine. And they bring the vessels of the temple. So that pretty much represents that the beast, the world leader, the little horn represented by Belshazzar, will send for the many to be brought before him in order to be killed, to shed their wine, their blood. So, because of that, is that the beast will have to pay, and there will be 7 bowls of wrath. Those bowls of wrath, the last 7 plagues of the last 3.5 years, those bowls of wrath are filled with the blood of the many, in a obviously symbolical way. Because of their death, Yahweh will send 7 plagues during the 3.5 years that are at the end.